Hi, I'm Tim Byrne. This is Tim Byrne Almost Live. I'm at Byrne On Demand's head office in Barrie, Ontario. Today, we're going to talk about alternative energy. A real noble idea, being concerned about the environment these days. We like to tax the consumer to make sure that we pick up our fair share of the burden. We put a lot of obligation on consumers to reduce, recycle, and reuse. I gotta be honest, I find it incredibly stupid. We put a lot of obligation on the service sector to enforce environmental outcome, to ensure that things are happening. I'll be honest, I think the only way we're really gonna save this planet is by putting that burden on manufacturing. I don't think the user can actually do anything to change the way the planet's happening right now and how we're destroying it. I mean, the manufacturers, the start of the process is the real problem. The challenge is that government doesn't actually want to take the risk of making an environmental change at the manufacturing level because they're concerned they're going to have upheaval in the global markets. They're worried about you losing your job. And for that, they're willing to sacrifice the planet. But in my world, if we fix the manufacturing side globally, it'd be short-term pain for long-term gain for the Mother Earth. Today, Peak Power is my guest. They produce battery storage on site, collect energy cheaply at night when it's low cost electricity, and store it in the building in batteries, and then service the building that electricity during the day when power is really, really expensive. I think it's a really great idea. I just don't think it's a start to the environment becoming better. I think it's the end. I think this is the natural end is the idea of batteries power. I'm going to spend the next half an hour while you're watching the show trying to figure out how to save the planet. In the meantime, Peak Power is going to tell you how they're going to save you money. I am Tim Byrne. This is Tim Byrne Almost Live, and I'm going to have all the answers to the world's problems on the backside. Take care. Hi, I'm Tim Byrne. This is Tim Byrne Almost Live. We're down here at the Remy Show in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We are in the final blows of the show. Holy smokes, I think my voice is going to pop by the time I'm finished. I'm with Mike Cherninsky. You don't look like a Mike. What's your real name?
Lucy fan.
Hi, Lucy. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming on my show. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I know nothing about you whatsoever, and I like the podcast where I don't know anything. But I do have your business card, and it's called Peak Power.
Yes.
Peak Power
right.
Commercial. This guy, you're not Mike.
I'm not Mike, and I'm not the commercial operations manager, no.
What does Peak Power do?
So Peak Power Energy, we're a Toronto-based technology solutions company, and we're focused on leveraging big data machine learning to predict the most expensive moments of peak demand. And our goal is to help buildings and facilities take control of their energy bills and save money.
That was a good elevator pitch, eh? You had that memorized, right? Okay, so there's a lot of technology in the market already to measure power. I mean,
Sure.
Because
And we leverage that off-the-shelf technology. So we use off-the-shelf technology to enable the analytics that we deliver.
all right, but why would I pay if there's already technology on the marketplace to measure my hydro consumption or electricity consumption? Sorry, hydro. That was a really Canadian thing to say, hydro. So for all the American listeners, we call it hydro. It's electricity consumption. Why would I hire you guys to do analytics? You're doing analytics on it.
So we're predicting the expensive moments of system coincident peaks. And then we're also forecasting the building load profile. So with those predictions, we can help the customer manage their ICAP tag, which is...
Explain ICAP tag.
Sure. So ICAP tag is the customer's contribution to the system's coincident peaks. And for large customers, that is the utility's way of passing through capacity charges that are required to be paid to generators in order to incentivize them to be ready to produce electricity.
So how much
when
data
needed.
do you need? How much historical data do you need past to produce a hypothesis for the future? Do you need like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years worth of data, or do you just need a few days?
We take years of data. So we take years of data from the system operator. We have years of weather data. And we use those numbers to train our machine learning algorithms. And that's how we hone in on our forecast in order to make sure that
What
we are
happens if-
accurately able to.
What happens if a building doesn't have? So how much past data do you need to build the algorithm for it? So you're taking their consumption, weather patterns. You just said
Yes, weather patterns.
weather patterns based off of time, right? So it's a time continuum of power use
yes.
and weather patterns.
Yeah, so all the data sets are cleaned and time stamped.
And then you build an algorithm based off that and make that algorithm advance into the future.
Exactly. So we're forecasting what the system is going to do. We're forecasting what energy markets are going to do, and we're also forecasting how the building energy consumption is going to.
So do you literally look at futures in energy?
I mean,
Is
we
it
can.
Is it a
we
futures
can.
game? Like, is that because you just said energy costs, right? You're predicting energy costs in the future.
Yes.
Is it a random choice, or are you actually looking at energy futures and going, okay, this is where oil has made a prediction, or natural gas has made a prediction to be over the next 2 years? Because there are oil futures on the stock market, and you can actually pre-purchase or.
Right. So I think the difference is the time scale in which we're running our predictions, right? So we're not predicting 10 years of
Gotcha.
energy prices. What we're doing is predicting on more so a granular level.
Yep.
So minute by minute what energy prices might be.
So what do they save
and
when
what
they
the
use
load
you?
profile-
What do they save? Do they save? Are they saving real cash, or are they just getting credits back from hydro?
So the value will materialize in different ways. The most meaningful value stream will just materialize on the electricity bill in the form of savings. So when you look at an ICAP tag before battery energy storage, for example, or
Right.
after battery energy storage, you can see 25 to 50% savings on your electricity bill.
Sorry, 25%?
Yeah.
So on one of these commercial buildings, you could pick up 25% of their energy savings? No way.
If they pay for the battery up front, right? So
So you're not just committing technology and algorithms, you're actually also giving them a storage system to take all that power at the low cost time, dump it into the batteries, and then reuse the power on the backside so they can compensate high peak times with cheap energy off their battery service.
yes, that's one thing we can do. Yes.
All right. Yeah, so the battery storage.
No,
though-
that's not even the coolest thing that we do.
All right, we'll get there. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
good. So the
yeah,
battery
let it
storage,
unravel.
where's the battery storage? Is it localized to the site?
So the battery is installed behind the customer's meter. So we're using
At
the
the
battery
site levels, right? At
Yeah, at
site
the
levels.
site level, yeah.
So how much battery storage do you need? I guess you don't. So you only need enough battery storage to offset the peak times anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't need a lot of battery storage. In comparison to, you don't need a lot of energy storage because you're only trying to offset 5-6 hours of peak use. Let's say on a July from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 4.
Yeah.
Then then you go back and click and buy the energy at 2 in the morning when it's cheap.
Yeah.
Load the batteries, draw off for the next day.
Yeah.
Is that-
So that's the right idea. The
That's the
notion
mechanical
is that
idea, right? That's
yeah,
the mechanical
yeah.
idea.
We don't need to take the customer completely off the grid. So during a peak hour, whatever we
Storage.
reduce
Right.
their peak contribution by is like dollar for dollar savings. So
Right. Completely. If they aren't using it, they don't pay for it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So to that effect, we typically install 2-hour batteries.
really?
Yeah, yeah. And we're confident in our ability to capture the ICAP tag with a 2-hour battery because our forecasts are very accurate. If you were to install a 5-hour battery,
Could a small business do this as well as a big building? Like, could a small building, is there much return on your payback if you're a 20,000 square foot facility as if you were a 1,000,000 square foot facility? Or is there a minimum square footage entry point to make it worthwhile?
So in order for it to be worthwhile, the customer has to be Class A eligible. So they have to see an ICAP tag on their hydro bill in order to be able to manage that tag.
So, right. So, not but commercial buildings get it. Do condos get a no?
Sorry?
Condominium would condominiums be under that same
Some are, yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it's depending on how their system is run, right? Whether it's centralized or whether they're independent.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It depends on how the building's ultimately metered. But to your previous point, there are economies of scale. If we're able to build a much larger project, then the cost of installation might be lower, or we might be able to procure batteries at a more competitive price.
Right. Because I was thinking. Sorry, I always turn things into my own business. I have an industrial buildings, and they
Yeah.
range around 20,000 square feet, single user.
Mm-hmm.
And would that system work there as well? No, it's just too
20,000
small.
square foot sounds a little bit small.
Yeah, it's just too small to manage the cost of to build the infrastructure to take it, right?
Maybe for battery energy storage, but as I said, the analytics that we do can deliver value to customers in different ways, right? So energy storage is one thing that we do. And then we also have an IoT-based play where we install internet-enabled sensors in the buildings that we manage. We track everything that could potentially be a energy hog. We don't
Right.
close the loop in that we don't signal back to the building management system to change a set point on the
So
HVAC.
it's almost that's the next leap is to go. I'm going to help change your environment internally
Yes.
by the minute, by the hour, whatever. Like, so that you're not. So it's not two independent things happening. So there's some synergy from the building's environment to the
Yes.
data you're collecting,
Yes.
right? And the speed, because you're collecting instantaneously,
Yes.
which means theoretically your algorithm could be turned into an equation to run the HVAC system and the building environment systems, whether it be lighting, heating, air conditioning, humidity,
Yeah.
because relative humidity is a big deal for these buildings.
Yeah.
Well,
Tenant comfort is a big thing.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
well, but if the relative humidity goes too high in a building, beyond 40%, they like to keep them in the 35 to 38% relative humidity. They get into the 40s and 50s, and it can turn into mold. You get too low, and the noses all get dry and crusty. And you're
Yeah,
right.
you don't want that.
But if you're giving the appropriate amount of data, you can actually manage it for them on the fly.
Yeah, and monitor the trend so that it doesn't stray out of the comfort range.
Right,
yeah.
out of the zone that's going to be appropriate.
Yeah,
So what do you-
and then same thing with equipment submetering. In the
Right.
same sense that we're doing IoT sensors to monitor
Submetering's a big business
tenant
too.
comfort. Yeah, we're submetering major electrical equipment so that we can understand the performance of this.
So what's your
equipment.
background?
My background?
Yeah.
Can you guess?
Tell me, come on, go. Tell everybody in the world.
I'm a chemical engineer.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to MIT.
Yeah, you're one smart lady, eh?
Well, I was the dumbest kid on campus. I'll tell you that.
It's okay, I'm the dumbest kid in my company. Okay, so how long have you been with the company for?
Since November of last year.
Oh, you're new.
Is that new?
Oh, yeah,
It
that's-
feels like I've been there
November?
forever.
You've been there 6 months, 7 months?
Well, it feels like I've done a lot.
You fresh out of school and went there?
No.
You look really young.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
I wish I looked really young. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, take that as a compliment. Okay, so what's your actual job there?
So I am the business development manager at Peak Power.
Okay, that's not your degree.
No, it's not. It's not. But I've been working in the business world since I graduated from school. So I never worked a day as an actual chemical engineer.
Did you not? Never.
No.
So what did you do prior to this place then?
So prior to this place, I was working in clean energy infrastructure investment. I was working for a company called New Energy Capital.
Raising capital for...
We were funding infrastructure projects that were primarily clean energy.
You went from funding projects, not executing them, funding them,
Yeah,
so creating the capital investment,
yeah.
to working for a...
Technology startup
Technology startup.
that executes and optimizes projects.
So are you guys aren't... you guys are building the technology? Are you actually, you got programmers and actual people building this technology, or are you
Yeah. Our team is mostly data scientists and software
Really?
engineers. Yeah. So we're really focused on the software controls and optimization layer. We're
who's your client?
Commercial office buildings.
The property management side or the asset management side? The property management side. There's facilities, property management, and asset, right? So the asset guys are the actual owners.
Sure.
Property manager runs the exterior, skin, the body, right? And then the facility guys are running the occupants.
Yeah.
I guess you're on the utility side, so you're the property you would be looking at property managers like GWL, Oxford,
Yes.
right? Those are your guys, right? Crown Property Manager, Trio Vest.
Yes, exactly.
kind of guys.
Yeah. So those are the folks that we're working with. And not that we can't work with industrials or other types of facilities. I would say that commercial real estate is where we can really deliver the most value between our Building Insights platform, our energy storage as a service offering, as well as the Peak Drive initiative that we've launched in downtown Toronto. We can do energy storage for industrials. We can do energy storage for other types of facilities. It's just that we probably wouldn't do like Peak Drive with them.
Sure,
for
it's not your
example.
market yet, right? As technology becomes cheaper, batteries become cheaper, smaller, less storage space, those other markets become more viable. I mean, my one manufacturing facility may be small, but it eats a lot of hydro at peak time
Yeah.
because it only runs the one shift during the day.
Yeah.
And if I could use alternate power for it, because my hydro bills are equivalent to an office building of 100,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's running machinery and equipment.
Exactly.
So that's why I brought it up, because I said it sounds like there's a market there. If the problem would be space, I would assume. How much space do the 2 hours worth of batteries take?
So our battery installations,
They must be huge.
they take on the order of a couple hundred square feet.
Per 10,000, like in an office building, of like First Canadian Place or a Commerce Court. Do you have
Yes,
battery
it's-
storage at every floor?
No. We would usually put it in the basement or the parking
Even
lot.
on a
It
big
would
building,
take-
even on a huge building like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So we would maybe take up a few parking spots in their garage, or that equivalent space, maybe not in the garage, maybe in a spare generator room, or
So you do business development for them.
yeah.
So you're actually going out to clients. How do you price that stuff?
So we generally price everything on a shared savings contract. So
Right.
we do performance-based contracting. We don't ask the customers to pay for it up front.
Who competes against you? Well, there must be other companies that do the same thing you do.
So there are companies that do real-time energy management. There
Yes.
are companies that do energy storage. There are companies that do vehicle-to-grid. There's no company that does everything that we do.
Are you Canadian based?
The company is Canadian-based, yeah.
I deal with friends out of the U.S. called Phoenix Energy, and they do energy management for retailers. That's
Okay.
all they do is energy management for like
Okay.
the big box malls, J.C. Penney, the big. Yeah. Who's here? Beer's
Woo.
here. But they don't do the battery technology, which I find very fascinating. That you do battery technology. Is that popular? The battery side of the business, like to store the electricity, to do the off-peak stuff.
I mean, it's where we started. So the company started out in the energy storage space.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it started off the energy management side.
No. So what we found out is that in order to make the most money from energy storage, we needed to better understand the building's load profile and be able to forecast it more
That makes
accurately.
sense.
So that's why we started.
You went the other way.
Yeah, developing
got
the IoT offering. And then what we realized is that when you're focusing in the downtown core, it's hard to get batteries in a lot of the old buildings.
Yeah, right.
The elevator shaft isn't big enough. There's not enough space. The
It's
loading
hard.
is too heavy, and the structural engineering is too expensive. So, a lot of buildings end up maybe not being a good option for stationary energy storage, but they can always take advantage of real-time energy analytics and just having the real-time data in order to identify just inefficiencies.
What
within the
phone number
building.
do people get a hold of you at?
I'm not going to give out my phone
You
number.
know, I give up mine all the time. It's 416-984-9045. You want to come on my show, you give me a shout. Only people that call. I've never been harassed. I tell people to answer my phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Really?
and nobody calls.
Really? I get way too many spam callers.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why people try to sell to
I
a
think-
business development person. It's like, no, I'm not your customer.
Yeah, I don't. And it's funny too. I don't get those calls. Mind
Really?
you, I hang up on people all the time. I don't. Yeah, I can be a bit of a dick at times to people when they call me because I answer the phone. Tim Byrne. Right, scares them. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where's your booth? Because I want to come over and see. Do you have equipment here? Do you have batteries here?
We do not have batteries here, but you can always arrange for a site visit at one of
that'd
our
be sweet.
downtown installations.
You should do that for BOMA. You should do a site tour for them because they do it, right? You guys did.
Okay.
They did.
For TVMOA, yeah, but yeah. it's like
Peak Power did one. Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah.
A tour with BOMA.
IFMA.
Yeah, IFMA. Actually, IFMA would be better.
IFMA would be
with
Okay,
Nick.
yeah,
we
yeah.
can connect
Who's
you
the
up
right
with Nick.
person at IFNA?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, this lady
Okay.
right here, she is. We can connect you out with IFMA, and that'd be a great site tour with them. They would be really into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they would love that.
Definitely.
I'm Tim
Yeah,
Byrne. This
let's
is
go.
Tim Byrne Almost Live. We're down at the Remy Show, and I think we're about done. And Kevin the Goat's going home. Alex is going home. Go Raptors. By the time you guys watch this episode,
You will know if they want
you'll know if they won or not. So I can't be happy yet. But the roads are about to get closed down, and we got to get the hell out of Dodge. Have a good night.
Philosophically, you're not going to change the environment by reducing recycling or using you as a personal consumer. It's almost impossible. Unless the government philosophically takes a different approach on how they're going to handle the environment, we're heading for destruction. I'm sorry to tell you, you personally can't change the way the world's heading. But your government can. Probably the number one polluter is the oil and gas industry. Not only are they excavating the planet, they're producing carbon-based motors, which the planet can't afford to absorb anymore. I think that if electric cars were available for everybody, we'd be heading in the right direction. I think if your house was off-grid, no more natural gas, no more hydroelectricity running to it, and you produce your own electricity and you produce your own heating, the planet would have a better chance of being saved. The only way that's going to happen is through manufacturing, offering the consumer more environmentally friendly product. Let's take the electric car, for example. If the government actually said in the next 10 years we're going to outlaw carbon-based motors, eventually they'd all disappear and electrical. I think the 5,000 gas stations that are across Canada should all have electrical plug-ins for the Tesla and for all the electric cars that are on the market. Immediately resulting in a change in the amount of carbon footprint we're leaving behind. Not only just from the cars themselves burning fuel, but for the transportation of oil, the natural disasters that are created from the petroleum industry, like the Gulf of Mexico or up in Alaska. But you as the consumer can't do it. The only reason the government won't do it is because they're going to cause upheaval in the marketplace. We've spent 200 years building an infrastructure of gas and oil. The government needs you to be on grid. They don't actually want you not to have natural gas to your house. They don't want you to supply your own electricity. Otherwise, you won't need them. They want you to need them so that you feel good about giving your tax dollar to them. And if you were off grid or if you didn't have any garbage to put at the end of the driveway to be collected, you would need government. If, for instance, if cars all had the ability not to go faster than the speed limit, we wouldn't need police officers handing out tickets, but then we wouldn't be generating revenue for the government. It's a real oxymoron when you think about it. Saving the planet isn't simple, but the government could really take a different position and start forcing manufacturers to live up to environmental obligations rather than jamming it down the consumer's throat, who actually can't do fuck all about changing the environment. It's a complicated issue. I'd love to debate it with somebody on my show. I am Tim Byrne. This is Tim Byrne Almost Live. Remember, if you don't stick your head above that foxhole, you never become a hero. If you don't take a risk, you don't get to drink champagne. Speak up, speak out, make a difference until we all start talking about the environment and really what the root cause of the problem is, which is our government. We won't change the outcome that is inevitably going to happen to us. And I don't want to wait for the last minute. I'm Tim Byrne Almost Live. Find me on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I love hearing from you. I'm really glad you watched the show. I'm going to get a haircut, maybe some hair transplant, some plugs to hide my bald spot. I dye my beard now. I look pretty good. I'll see you next week. Promise? I promise. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye.